All right, so at the time of this recording, the Trotters toss is still going on, but I have completed my round. I had an 8 a.m. tee time. It was my first event that I've ever played in for disc golf. There are still 2 people to go through, and there are 19 total players in the C tier RAG is what it's called, which is the lowest available tier in this tournament. And this was put on by Orlando Disc Golf Incorporated, or Orlando Disc Golf Inc. Very nice guys, very nice people, very good tournament. As of right now, like I said, 17 players have completed their round, including myself. There are 2 remaining to play. And as it sits right now, if the tournament was to end, I finished at 12 over par, tied for 8th place. Now, this is with never playing this course. This is with never doing a competitive tournament. And this is a relatively difficult course, to be honest. It's 18 holes, par 58. It's about it's just shy of 6,000 feet. Took about 2.5 hours to play. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap you guys kind of like hole for hole. Now, the U-disc that I'm going to show you guys is not accurate to what the as far as certain pars as what they were for the PDGA round. Like hole 1, they have it listed on U-disc as a par 3. It was actually a par 4. But I'll kind of show that to y'all. Hole 1, par 4. It was 427 feet. So to those who may be watching this later in a YouTube video, we are doing this live on Twitch. And to those here on Twitch that don't know exactly what disc golf is, it's golf with a disc, or as most commoners call it, a frisbee. Tee pad 1 right here. First disc basket up here. Like I said, it's a par 4. I threw it very, very wide right, but inbounds for my first throw, and ended up recovering, pitching it up, missing my first putt, and then tapping it in for par after a birdie look. Hole 2, par 3, 289 feet, pretty much just straight on, heading right towards like where the restrooms are at the park. I parred that one as well. Relatively easy, short drive off the tee box, pitched it up, laid it up right under the basket, and then just a little tap in for par there. It was a very solid layout. Now, hole 3 was a little bit different. Hole 3 was 420 feet, par 4. You had a shot off the tee pad straight through this opening right here. Oh my God. Straight. Okay. Straight off of the tee pad through these woods, and then the basket was over here. My first shot was actually a very, very decent shot for me. I made it probably about at this bend here where my mouse is, and then my second shot, maybe a little farther back, and then my second shot, I threw it up, and it went into this brush, which, if you guys are planning to play at the Trotters Equestrian West, it is very easy to lose a disc on a lot of holes, and number 4 is definitely no slouch when it comes to that either. But I ended up getting out of that, laying up my disc, and then tapping in for a par. Hole 4, 244 par 3. This was probably one of the more simple holes. I mean, it's just straight up and down. Straight up and down on the field. I ended up tapping that out for a par as well. Not a bad hole at all. Hole 5, 292 feet, par 3. That one was a little more interesting. If I'm not mistaken, there was a mando, which is a mandatory that you had to go a certain way with your disc, but it was not too terrible. I ended up going with a 4 on that. This is kind of where I started to fall apart a little bit. I just went out of bounds a little bit. Hole 6, par 3, 235. There is right here, about right here, a mandatory that you have to go to the left of. If you guys are new to disc golf, you have to go to the left of. And my first throw, I threw it, released it point way too high, and it ends up somewhere in these trees. No idea where it's at. Lost it. It's gone. And then took a penalty shot, so that's 2. Third shot, throw it, lands shorter, still released it too high, goes into the woods. That was off my penalty re-tee. And then I had to take a little bit of relief because I was wedged into the fence. Pitched it out on my 4th shot. And then 5, 6, and 7 were kind of like little chip shots to just get it up there. And then my 7th was just a tap in. So I actually went 4 over on that hole. I shot a 7 on that, which was kind of a little bit demoralizing. Because what seemed like a relatively easy hole, as long as you went straight, was just kind of, it was brutal. So at that point, I am 5 over par through 6. Hole 7, the basket is located up on a hill. It's 200 foot par 3. I threw it short, landed short left of the basket, ended up pitching up onto the hill, and was able to just do a tap in for par. Hole 8 was off of the hill, par 3, 321, over some bleachers, and it was relatively difficult. I threw it very short my first throw, and then my second shot I was able to pretty much just lay it up, and then I was able to just tap in par there. So not too bad. Hole 9, 270 feet, par 3. Pretty much straight, but I had a double mando, so you had to get through the power pole and the tree that was there. First shot went short. It went through the mandos. Was fine. Second shot wrapped around right about here. Long putt rattled through the chains and went off, and then I bogeyed that hole. So through the front 9, I was 6 over. And then the back 9, 10 starts out. It was just straight out. Not a bad hole whatsoever. Par 3, 230 feet. Parred that. Relatively easy. Where you putt, like where the basket was, is actually a like a little shed, like a little storage shed. It was pretty cool. Got relatively close, and then landed up by this tree, putted around it, and then just had a tap in for par. Hole 11. Oh, of course it's Stan's fault. It is Stan's fault. Hole 11, 238 feet, par 3. This one kind of ate a lot of us up a little bit. We had no mandos, but the out of bounds was obviously beyond the fence. I just had a rough tee shot and then couldn't recover. I ended up getting a bogey on that hole. So through 11, I'm 7 over. Hole 12, par 3, 241 feet. Not a bad hole at all. No mandos. Just a straight out throw. I had a really good tee shot. I actually parked it probably 22 feet from the basket. And then I had a relatively easy putt and got my first tournament birdie in my first tournament. So that drops us back down to 6 under through 12. Hole 13, par 3, 306. This one had a double mando, so up off the tee pad through this fence here is considered OB if you go on the left or the right side of the fence. But as soon as you cross this barrier here, there's a little slab of fence there that does not count as OB. I had the box there, and I actually shot over here behind the trees. Luckily, that was inbounds. I had to throw, which the OB boys partner, Daniel, would be proud, but I had to throw a hammer up and down to get through those trees. Ended probably about 40-50 feet to the right of the pin. And then my third shot for par just hit off the side of the chains and then just rolled out, almost parred it. Ended up going with a bogey to go 7 over through 13. And then on 14, relatively difficult. It is a 288 par 3. The only reason why it's difficult is because if you do not land on the opposite side of this fence, if you do not land on this side of the fence, like the side where the basket is, it's considered out of bounds and you have to take a penalty stroke and go to the drop zone. My first shot, I actually did end up clearing, and I went behind this tree. And then I just kind of pitched out, and I ended up probably 25 feet, maybe a little more from the basket. My par putt, I did miss, so I got a bogey on this, which puts us at, 8 over through 14. Hole 15, this one is very, very goofy. I hope that if the park makes this and if the people that design this make it a permanent fixture at the park, which I hope they do, because it was a very nice, very, very nice setup. This is just very goofy. So it is a par 5, 587 feet. And there's a mandatory that you have to go around. That's what a mando is. The mando is there is a out of bounds line from basically the left side of the tee pad all the way up to this tree. The mando is you have to go up this white fence line around this tree and back up to the basket, which is not here anymore. It's actually a little bit more in. And you don't have to go around all 3 trees. You just have to go around 1 tree. And my tee shot went 3 feet to the left of OB, so I had to go to the drop zone, take a penalty stroke. But because of where the drop zone was, right on this side of the tree, I threw my third shot and it went wide right into the trees. I was able to get my fourth shot relatively close for a little tap in par. I ended up parring the par 5 that I was concerned about. So it was a little difficult there. I will explain after, Stan, just because I'm putting this on the OB Boys channel. Hole 16 is a difficult one. UDisc doesn't do it justice. This is a 518-foot par 4. Tee box is set back quite a bit. Anything over this fence is OB. Anything in here you're going to be hunting for, and it's very dense. So, tee shot. I tried to hug right, so I didn't end up in this because I'd rather be short and right than in the shit. I ended up out of bounds. Took a penalty stroke. Took technically my third shot, my third throw. Got about up here. Fourth throw ended up here. Maybe a little to the right after this second bend here. Fifth shot, I just tried to get it as close to the pin as I could. It's very protected here. There's a lot of thorns here. A lot of very thick bushes. I ended up laying up to right about here for a tap in. It was a double bogey, which put me at 10 over through 16. Hole 17 is another par 4, 381 feet. It wasn't Earth, I'm sorry, 391 feet. This is relatively straight and then breaks off left. I threw my tee shot very, very poorly. And it ended up over here. It was just kind of like a dead roller. And then I threw my second shot. It went OB because that's on the other side of the sidewalk. So then I took my third shot here. Or I'm sorry. I took my third drop. So third shot is a drop. Fourth toss goes out here. That was actually scored wrong. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. Took my fourth throw off of the OB drop. Landed in the bushes beyond. Didn't really have any space to make my throw for my 5. And I just pushed it short left. And then I tapped in for a 6. So now we're at 12 over through 17. Hole 18, very, very straightforward. Literally par 3, 300 feet on the dot. Tee box right off of the sidewalk. OB is beyond the fence and the sidewalk, on the sidewalk and over it. Tee shot landed maybe 40 feet from the pin. Got it very close. And when I say very close, I'm talking it actually hit the front of the basket for my birdie look. And then I just tapped it out for par. So then that put me at a 12 over for my first tournament. And like I said, there are still some people playing, or still have yet to tee off right now, actually, at the time of making this video. But as of right now, 12 over has me tied for 8th place out of 19, which is not bad for my first tournament. Even if the folks that are teeing off right now finish ahead of me, I'm at least guaranteed top 10. So I'm not upset about, a top 10 finish regardless. I learned a lot, and I'm excited for more.